The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to attend today's webinar and taking time out of your busy day. We're going to be talking today about some of the new looks and fabrics that have kind of found their way into the sport uniform market today and even trickled down all the way down to high school sports, where some of you might be more familiar with. We'll also go into how you can kind of incorporate these styles into the looks you're creating for your teams in your shop and hopefully win the bids for your upcoming sports season. Just to get an idea before we get started and dive on in, how many of you that are currently decorating for teams, how are you doing it? We'll take a quick poll just to kind of see, are you using heat-applied materials, maybe like CAD cut? We have a thermofilm that you might be familiar with, or screen-printed transfers, or maybe you're just screen-printing your names and numbers, or tackle tool and embroidery with your embroidery machine, just to get an idea of how you guys are all doing it. Obviously, I might be a little partial to heat transfers, but I just like to see what's going on out in the field. Looks like we're just about to close up there.
Okay, Courtney, we have the results. We have 75% that's currently heat applied materials, 17% for screen printed, transfer, 42% for screen printing, and 42% for embroidery.
Oh, good. So it looks like we have a pretty good mixture. You guys are doing a little bit of everything. Maybe some twill on your baseball uniforms and heat application on your football uniforms, and that's great. Definitely a lot of ways that applying these uniforms can be done. But now, how many of you actually, when decorating team wear, have started to add things like special effects? Like maybe you're thinking into reflectives, or maybe even just glitter on cheer uniforms. I guess there's a lot of ways you can go with it. Patterns. There's just a kind of a wide range when you start to open up the box. Just to get an idea before we break into where things are kind of going with the new trends. Few more minutes here.
Okay, thanks again, Courtney. We do have the results. Looks like we have 43% that are using special effects and 57% that's not.
Oh, so it looks like about a little over half of you haven't started to incorporate that. I'm sure a lot of you may be using the patterns or things like that already into your sport uniforms. So diving on in, today we're kind of just going to start looking at the team market, where it's at, and how it's kind of evolved over the years. And then also we'll kind of walk through usual fall sports, so your football, your soccer, and all that good stuff, and create some unique looks that are a little more modern that hopefully will help you guys beat out the competition. I know it's a dog-eat-dog world out there for sport uniforms sometimes if you don't have the business already. And then we'll also finish up on touching on ways you can either maximize the sale or even find a way to get your foot in the door. Being able to decorate even T-shirts for fundraising for the school business or their spirit wear, things like that are a good way to just kind of get in the door if you aren't already decorating for these teams, or maybe they have a strong contract already. I'm a firm believer in a game plan, so I think having a full plan when you go in and you meet with these schools, that'll definitely help you be more successful in gaining their business, and we definitely want you guys to be more successful in that. So let's take a quick look at how the sport uniform market is changing. If you haven't heard it yet, it kind of seems as if the apparel manufacturers for sport uniforms and performance wear and everything are kind of on a little bit of a battle. They seem to be, who can make the most lightweight, the most breathable, and the most barely there uniform possibly available. Nike came out with the Pro Combat uniforms for college. Under Armour came back with some All-America football game uniforms for the high school teams, and we're just kind of seeing that all trickle down into your high school sports now as well. Pretty simple reasoning why, and that is two words: increased performance. In today's world, athletes are really looking for any possible way they can increase their performance. So if it's a little more lightweight garment that doesn't hold them back, or maybe it's stretchier. So when they go to make that play, it's not going to get caught on something. I know I think of the 90s kind of had this trend with sport uniforms where basketball, it seemed like the uniforms were just way oversized, and I think they're looking for ways to kind of not get their uniform caught on something or kind of hold them back whenever they're playing the game. So that's kind of where we're at today. I mean, athletes have even come so in tune that they're wearing performance necklaces, like the titanium necklaces, if you've seen those, for balance and energy. So when you're decorating these garments, you definitely want to be able to put something on them that isn't going to hold them back. And that's kind of a good selling point when you're going into these schools, to let them know that you're working for their teams and you want something that's going to make them better athletes and perform better as well. We have a few options we'll get into in the way of heat-applied materials here in a little bit that have kind of, not only are they lightweight and stretchable, but there's some that are even perforated. So they're kind of more of a breathable fabric, which is a cool concept for sure. In the beginning here, I did ask you guys a question about adding the special effects into your materials, and it seems like a lot of you are already doing that, which is great. You're kind of ahead of the game in that retrospect. But just being able to look outside the box at these special effects and seeing where else you can add them in. I'm sure glitters and patterns somewhat are already being used on your cheerwear or dance wear or anything like that. But what about your soccer team? Now, I'm not saying to put glitter on your soccer uniforms, but there's definitely some ways that I think we can make a more premium garment and definitely get you guys a little more money in the door by adding these things to those garments as well. For those of you that are familiar with decorating right now with high school sports, you probably know that there are some restrictions, and you might be shaking your head at me and saying, there's restrictions to decorating team uniforms, and you're absolutely correct. So when you're kind of looking at how you can change up team uniforms to make them a little unique, you want to keep in mind that, of course, the numbers on jerseys have to be clearly legible. So you don't want to change your 8-inch or 10-inch number to a 3-inch number on a small front of the jersey or anything like that. And you want to keep on the typical numbers and things like that. But other than that, I mean, being able to incorporate some special effects is definitely, as far as we've been talking to, the National Federation of State High Schools, and those rules are pretty open as far as what you're allowed to do inside the numbers with designs. So let's discuss football uniforms, the number one sport I think we all look to when we look into fall sports. I'm from a small town, so Friday night football is a big thing, and I'm sure it is in a lot of your towns as well. Everyone also wants to go after this business, so I think that's where most of your competition will be found, and I think that's because of the large roster of athletes that seem to be on these teams. I do have 5 unique looks that we'll kind of walk through for the football teams, and I just want to keep in mind that all these design elements could obviously be transferred into soccer or volleyball or even your spring sports come baseball, basketball season as well. So just a kind of way to get your minds thinking in a different direction. The first 2 designs have been created with a vinyl cutter and heat-applied materials and, of course, a heat press. So these are our CAD-cut materials. The first design here is the black jersey. We created this using our thermofilm for the white, and then we put it a reflective, which is a 3M reflective material, to kind of create a cool reflective outline. I went with thermofilm for 2 main reasons. One, this is your normal polyester jersey that you've typically been decorating. So this isn't a performance wear. This isn't one of those stretchy, unique fabrics. And it's also going to be for football. So when I look for my number one material in my eyes of what I could put on a jersey like this, thermofilm obviously comes to mind. For one, it's good for abrasion, so the teams aren't going to kind of beat it up whenever they're out there on the field, and you won't have those numbers falling off your jerseys, which I'm sure is a nightmare for anybody who heat presses. It's like what they dream about. But we also are adding the 3M reflective for the same reason. It's very very strong as far as abrasion goes and can kind of take a beating. If any of you are familiar with these reflective materials, I know in the past you've probably put them on your police uniforms or maybe firefighters or anything like that. But it's cool to kind of look at them in the way of football sense because, Friday night football, the lights are shining down. It's kind of reflecting off of the, so it's a cool way to kind of give a metallic foil-like finish in such a strong effect. So these materials, obviously, I can go over the cost a little bit with you guys to kind of give you where you should be whenever you're designing these garments. The materials for something such as this one with the 3M reflective and the thermofilm would come in somewhere around $3.30, depending on your roll size and the yardage that you do order for this. This is about the middle road. So if you're ordering larger foot rolls, and maybe your cost would be a little further down. So we're looking at $3 in material, labor and overhead about $2. So we're weeding both the white and the reflective, and then the heat application of both. And that's one of the great things about thermofilm is we're able to kind of cut the heat application in half by doing it first. So I put my thermofilm down, tacked it for couple seconds, peeled my carrier hot, and then I did my 3M reflective over top of it. And the heat temperatures are almost exact, so there was no up or down. 3M reflective has a nice application as well. I did put this on an $11 jersey. Typically jerseys that we decorate here, we order from somewhere like Teamwork, Athletic, or something like that. So with this jersey and our materials overhead, you're looking at your cost of about $16 and some change. So typically you would sell this for about $32. Again, a little more premium look with the reflective, so it's something you can kind of upcharge with. The second look is kind of a unique take on a two-tone look, and I did that with our CAD Cut Airflow. Here earlier I was telling you about this cool new material that's perforated, a little more breathable, and that's our Airflow. So the great thing about Airflow is you can actually see these tiny little mesh holes in between that make it just like a basketball jersey or something that people typically wear because they let the air kind of move through. The silver, or the gray so much, on the garment is actually a Premium Plus, the new heat transfer material. So the great thing about both of these materials is that they're thin and they're stretchable. So on this red performance wear type jersey, we went to something that was a little more just going to be able to adhere better and just feel like it's barely there, so that when the football players are playing or the athlete's playing, he's not feeling this huge design on his garment for something that's so lightweight. So that's kind of where we went with that. Something a little more breathable with something a little more lightweight, and it's two-toned as well. So it's not only giving it a cool effect, but you're giving it a better product on the garment as well. The materials for something like this, again, are a little bit less expensive because of the materials, and you'd be looking at about $1.50. Again, another $2 in labor and overhead, and then your total for the jersey would look at about $14 and some change. So typically a look like this you could sell to a team for $29 to $30 for the uniform. And just to keep your eyes open when you are looking for fabrics and your jerseys and uniforms, look for something that's kind of a little more performance wear and moisture wicking. Yes, the prices are going to be a little bit higher, but I do think that that's kind of something that teams are looking for more than your typical older jerseys. Our next looks for football. I know a lot of you are probably adding patterns already into your designs. And if you happen to watch college football, you may have even seen one similar to what we have on this Bucktown jersey here, which is our carbon fiber. So it just gives a cool two-toned, almost tire-like effect on the shirt, and it's just enough. It's not, a zebra print or a tie-dye or anything like that, but for a football uniform, it's enough to give it something extra, but at the same time, it's not taking away the same aspect. Now, adding patterns with something like carbon fiber, again, it's thin. So you're not going to, if you do decide to put this on a performance wear, which we have in here, but it would definitely adhere to that well and stretches pretty great as well. But I've put that over the thermofilm material again for the polyester jersey. Again, thermofilm, great for abrasion and great for applications, just a really quick overall product. And I know whenever you're doing football uniforms and you have 75 or 100 to do, in your heat pressing, you just want to get them over with as quick as possible. And thermofilm allows you to do that as well. Materials for this carbon fiber look, again, we're looking $3, $2 in overhead and labor, $11 jersey, and you're coming in somewhere around $16 for your cost. I really think team pricing I put here at $32, but I really think you could sell a look like this for a little bit more because it is a little more premium. And that's something you can kind of gauge in your area, what other companies are charging. But I do think for premium look, people will pay for a premium product. The next thing I kind of talked about, alluded, I guess, in the first slide, is keeping jerseys breathable, which is a wonderful concept. It would be a wonderful world. In this jersey here, it's using the Airflow in blue, so this is a little bit brighter color than what we had used Airflow in the past in the black. And then we just outlined it with the Premium Plus material. So then again, I'm using a great polyester jersey, or moisture wicking polyester blend jersey, and I'm putting a very thin, very lightweight, stretchable materials on them. So I want something that's just going to be able to just move with my fabric, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I look at these performance wear jerseys, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to decorate these, and that's kind of where you want to go. Being able to give something like Airflow that is breathable is just for cost-wise for you, you're not really spending any more money than what you would spend on our other heat transfer, any other heat transfer material for that fact. But you're able to sell it by a little bit more expensively, just being able to tell your customers, this actually will breathe through better. You've got this breathable performance wear, moisture wicking fabric, and the last thing you really want is to stick something on the garment that just kind of blocks out all that breathability, and this will allow them to do that. So your cost, just to kind of quickly overview it, it'd be about $2.50 for these two different materials on the full back 12 by 12 design here we've created. And the labor and overhead, another $2, give or take a little bit, and then your jersey bringing you at a cost of about $15. And then, of course, your team pricing, I just doubled the cost, but like I said, definitely would be able to sell looks like these for a little bit more should you choose to, just based on the difference of the nature. Our last look here for football, I've kind of taken a unique concept here at CADCUT Direct and kind of thought about adding logos or designs or anything like that inside the names and numbers. Using digital media, we were able to create this. So we created this here at our VersaCam with our VersaCam. So if you're typically using a print cut system or anything like that to decorate uniforms, then this is definitely a way you could go. And we used a media called Solutions Opaque. And the cool thing about Solutions Opaque is again, it's stretchable. So on this performance wear garments, it's great for just being able for them to be thin and to breathe and all that good stuff again as well. And it's got a really good adhesive on this media, so it's going to stick. It's not going to have to worry about it falling off. And a quick application as well. It's 2 5-second hits at a low temperature of 305 degrees. So as far as application goes, it's really great for those moisture wicking, like heat sensitive materials. So maybe you don't want to heat apply them, if you're using screen printed transfers or something else that might heat apply at 360 degrees. It might be a little too hot for some of these materials. So this is definitely able to adhere to those fabrics without risking that you might ruin them. So that's one of the great things about this digital media. Now I know there's a lot of ideas out there that you can kind of throw in. So whether they've got a logo, their mascot, you can kind of take their mascot and fill him inside the numbers as well. Just to give you an idea, this was just a kind of a stock photo we had thrown in there just to give it a cool, unique effect. And you could do that as well, just to show them, you're able to incorporate more of their team atmosphere, more of their school into just their uniforms without throwing a quick blue and red just because those are their school colors or anything like that. So we also have, for those of you that may not have print cut systems available, there are digital transfers that are available. I know here at Stahl's they call them the CAD prints, and just different things like that with text effects and everything like that. Just another way for you to kind of show the schools, we have all these capabilities, and with CAD prints and things like that, you really just kind of upload, we print it, and we send it to you. And so just being able to have those capabilities inside your shop is definitely a way you can kind of win their business over as well. So material costs, we took into effect of what it would cost us to do this. So the media that we needed for this larger design, the ink that we used, and as well as the mask for those of you that are familiar with the digital media kind of process. We printed it on our Solutions Opaque media, weed away the excess, mask it, and then it's ready for heat application. And so those costs were all taken into consideration for our materials. labor, we just added another quick $2, and then the jersey as well. So something like this, which can really be a very customizable look, could come in around $33 for what you're charging your teams, and cost for you really is quite low for being able to really offer that unique product to them. The next sport I want to talk to is kind of, I really think it's what people go second after they think about football. It's kind of an afterthought, at least in my area for sure, but it's soccer, and there's a couple ways that you can kind of go about entering this group. For one, soccer is much more of a traditional type of market, so I really think that it's just the teams might not be as open up to patterns. Some of them may be, especially if they're maybe a women's team that might be a little more up to change. But I think it's important when you are going into these schools and showing them your full game plan that you show them you can be traditional as well. If they want plain names and numbers on their soccer uniforms or even their football uniforms, you can do that. But maybe their basketball uniforms later in the season, they want that cool kind of pattern design. And I think just being able to show that definitely helps you stay ahead of the game in all aspects. So the first design here, I just kind of titled it the traditional name and number combos because I definitely think that's what it is. And again, we were just able to create this with Thermogrip, putting it on a nylon jersey. And Thermogrip I like to refer to as Thermofilm's brother. So it's in all aspects pretty much the same as far as the fast application and being able to take a beating. And just as far as the durability of it, it's really a great product. Just has a little bit stronger adhesive than Thermofilm. So for nylon, it's where you want to go when you're looking to put something on anything nylon, a jersey, a duffel bag, or anything like that. Now, cost and pricing for these. Typical name and number on the front of a jersey. Materials and Thermogrip, you're looking about $1.95. It's only one color, so it's pretty good for pricing. And then your labor and overhead. Jersey brings your total cost in a little under $13, and you typically would sell this for $25, $26 just for your basic look. But one of the other things to look at with these types of jerseys is just kind of the cool design, even on this plain soccer jersey, is kind of almost like a checkered feel, and things like that when you're looking at your jerseys and your uniforms are also important to look at and kind of expand upon with the designs. Not only are you going to put an awesome design on this jerseys, but you've got some nice garments to go with them as well. My second design here is a team logo with CAD cut. So instead of putting a traditional name and number, you could put a cool logo, whether maybe their logo is actually the horse or the stallion that's on this soccer jersey, and you're able to maybe take your art department and kind of incorporate a cool soccer ball inside of it and give them a unique logo on their garment, something that maybe the competition wouldn't be giving them. So materials on this jersey, a polyester plain jersey, we use Thermofilm. So you're looking a little under $1 for materials, add in your labor and overhead, which is pretty easy for something of this size, and your jersey costs, and you would probably charge around $23. Again, you could probably charge a little bit more for a jersey like this, but I think just being able to give you the idea that you can show them something unique, like here we can create a cool design with your logo, and someone else might not be able to offer you that same capabilities as well. The next sport I seem to go towards is volleyball. Volleyball was very big in my high school, so I know a lot of time and money was put into uniforms and jerseys for this particular sport. And first I've kind of gone with the traditional, the pre-cut player names and numbers with Thermofilm, which you can order from stalls or any, but just to give you an idea, it's a two-color name and number, so you're looking at about $1.56. Labor and overhead is cheap because we do all the cutting and weeding for you. You would just heat apply it, add in your jersey costs, and you can easily show them a low-cost polyester jersey with a name and number for $25. It's pretty typical, pretty easy to do. Now, if you wanted to go a little more, let's just say a little more modern, or show them what they could be getting for a little bit better price, and I think that's one of the important things to show them. Is you can get this, but for a couple dollars more, you can get this as well. And the cool thing with this Hornets design is we use the metallic silver to put their name in. So maybe their colors are even just gray and white, or maybe they're metallic silver, but just being able to show something a little more of a metallic or a foil finish, and also putting it on a performance wear moisture wicking garment is a little bit better than the polyester jersey that they may have been using in the past. This one, the jersey and the top is a little more similar as far as the makeup of the fabric to the shorts they've been wearing for a long time with volleyball. So just being able to kind of expand on how that will increase their performance and how it'll help them out is definitely somewhere to go with this. We also use Premium Plus, which is one of the great things about Premium Plus is any color, if you decide to use a neon to go totally unique with their colors or metallics or anything, it's all the same price, so you're not paying a ton more for those materials. It also has that great adhesion for this moisture wicking performance wear, and it also is really good for the stretch and the rebound, and the finish is great as well. So if you were going to show these two garments to your to the school to kind of show them these are the two options we could give you, Premium Plus has a really nice soft matte finish. So the softness of it almost feels like the softness of the performance wear. Sure, and I know for those of you that may be familiar with decorating performance wear, if you do heat apply it with some certain vinyls, you might kind of rub your hand across it and it feels just thick, and you kind of can tell it was there. But the nice thing with Premium Plus is you really can't tell it's there. It's almost part of the fabric. It's so soft, which is one of the great features of it. Now the material cost, like I said, Premium Plus, all the colors are the same, so you would come in around 56 cents for this design on the front of the volleyball uniform. Labor and overhead, $2. You add in your $13 a little more expensive performance wear jersey, and you'd be charging them a little over $30 for this look. So for $6 more, they're able to have a much better performing and a much better look to their garment. And I'm a big believer that uniforms, nice looking uniforms help people perform better, and maybe that's just me, but I really do think when a team looks good, they feel good, and I think this definitely shows that. The last sport I kind of wanted to go into is cheerleading, which is where I'm sure most of you are using your special effects with the patterns and the glitter effects. But I think adding more of the glitter into the actual uniforms is definitely important, and kind of the way cheer uniforms are going. Manufacturers of cheer skirts and shells have begun kind of adding a slight glitter ribbon to most of their uniforms, and I know you can't really tell it here in this picture, but this uniform as well has a little bit of glitter in one of the bands. So to play off of that and to kind of add a little more of a glitz and shine, especially because so many of these uniforms are used for competitions and things like that, where they definitely all want to shine and stand out. So we used our glitter flake material, which has a little more of a textured glitter finish, so it's not so much of a smooth kind of toned down. It's kind of out there in your face, shining all that can be, and the material cost for something like this, it would only be about 29 cents. So you really, when you compare it to what you're charging for your typical, like maybe you're using a tackle twill now, or in your embroidery machine for cheer uniforms, or maybe you're just using a regular heat applied vinyl, but pricing wise, for the look on this type of garment, it's really not costing you much more. You could charge something like this. I'm going to give you $30 just to double the cost. I definitely think it could be more up around the $35 for a shell, maybe even $40, upwards of that range for the team pricing on these cheer uniforms with the glitter effects. Another thing you could also do when you're just trying to show different looks with this is even adding this to the basic color heat applied material that you might have. So maybe their colors are navy blue and silver, and you just put a navy blue outline or a glitter outline on the navy blue just to be a little more subtle. There's a lot of ways you can go with it. The last thing I kind of want to touch on, and I did allude to this a little bit in the beginning, is just what I refer to as going the extra mile. There's a large array of opportunities when you go into these schools. And I kind of think as apparel decorators, maybe we just think, oh, good, I got the team business, football team, jerseys for the next, 2 years or something. And it's like you forget about, well, you could offer them T-shirts for fundraising, or maybe we could do their spirit wear as well. But I think when you go into these schools, and again, it's a way to get in as well. So maybe you just show them, we can personalize these hoodies, like the green hoodie here. was personalized with a special flecks of glitter. So just being able to say, we can give you spirit wear that can be personalized. Maybe the front is your typical screen printed. We've got 2,000 of these for the school, but on the back we can also add the name of the player and for his mom. I think it's kind of a way you can go with. I know when I was in school, and I'm sure they still make them, and some of you might be familiar with those buttons that the moms always wore to the sport. So it was like a picture of them on the front of their T-shirt that normally said so and so Madison football or something like that. And I think being able to personalize the actual garment will help you get rid of those buttons and makes it a little more personable and a little more modern as far as that goes. And it's cheap and it's easy to do, I think, if you just present it in the right way to these schools. This year with the basketball pants and the sweatpants kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. I mean, there's so many opportunities as far as designing goes for these schools. There's jackets and hats and T-shirts and hoodies, and I mean the possibilities are really endless. And so maybe you want to let the football team that won't let you decorate their jerseys, maybe you tell them, well, then I'd like to do the maybe we could do a fundraiser where you sell T-shirts, that we've created for you guys, and we'll, share the profits or however you want to divide it up. But that's kind of a way to get in. You kind of become a friend of theirs, and then maybe next year, maybe next time they're looking for the uniforms, or maybe they don't need uniforms right now, but basketball does. And just becoming a friend, I think, helps you get into the door a little bit better. And the last thing with kind of going the extra mile is I think you want to definitely remember that there are more non-garment options. So we have here like a computer mouse pad that's been decorated with it's our fashion foam electric. So it's just a really cool foil-like finish. And this one actually is kind of like a prism two-tone look almost. And this is just something else you can do when you're decorating for these schools as well. And kind of keep your options open with that. So with that, I definitely want to thank you guys all for joining us. Let you go ahead and get back to your shops. Next week there's definitely going to be more tips on back-to-school season and decorating with Transfer Express. So that'll be on July 27th. I'll teach you guys how to profit a little more with that. Nicole, do we have any questions I can kind of answer before we get off here?
Yes, Courtney, we do have a couple questions. One person wants to know, where did you find a jersey for $11?
We have team pricing. So we got it from Teamwork Athletic, which we just have different team pricing. So that's what we were kind of paying for the jerseys.
Okay, thanks. The next one was, were you figuring the cost of front and back numbers on your jersey?
For these designs, I am just factoring what you see in the picture. So if maybe I only put the front design, like I know the carbon fiber one, I just decorated the front. So I was only factoring what you're putting on the front of the jersey, just, in case you're using a different type of decorating or pre-cut names and numbers, and then you're adding the front or something like that. But no, I was just factoring in the front.
Okay. That looks like all the questions.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and I'll let you guys go ahead and get back to business. Happy decorating.